Hello, Breakfast Awakened Ones. It's Veronica of High Realm Holistics again. I wanted to make some clarifications um, because of comments I've seen and things like that. Number one, thank you, Michelle. I actually was looking for that damn Twitter post and I did not have enough time to find it. But absolutely 100% right. It was a very trusted Anon who was talking about the tarot cards, and I was like, they're missing the point, they're missing everything, and didn't understand the cue drops that went with that. That's what they were missing. They were doing the interpretation not 100%. It doesn't negate anything I said last night. My interpretation, I stick by my interpretation. Whether people agree with my interpretation, that's completely up to them. And also, I wanted to bring up the Emperor card, but I totally forgot about it because I didn't pull it out of my big deck, so I didn't pay attention. That was the Aries. That's the card that represents Aries and Mars and war. Okay, and the Magician card. I already spoke about this in the video I just made. The Magician card is air sign. The Magician card is the sleight of hand, the playing the game, which I spoke about. I just misspoke and said, because I was looking at my notes for Aries, for the Magician, and for the Emperor, and I mixed it up with the Magician. The Magician is Gemini and Virgo. Okay, so simple clarifications. It doesn't negate anything I said. Now, I just want to make it very clear when it comes to how I feel about Q, okay, and my interpretation of what's going on with the whole Q thing, okay, and what Q is, what I think about Q, okay. Again, if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you, it's fine. We all have our different opinions, and I've said this several times, which is why I never spoke about Q too much at all, and just kept like one eye on it. And the only thing that caught my attention was when I saw those tarot cards in one of those truthers. He had it in the in his sorry, I'm having such bad cramps, I can't think. He had it in his thumbnail, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, tarot cards, what's going on there? And then that's the video I watched, and I watched a couple of other videos too. And I was like, no, 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 they're not understanding the connection, they're not putting the cards together. That's why I did that video last night. What I feel Q is, because I asked and I meditated on it, and I've said Q is a collective. It's not Donald Trump. It's not just Trump and his buddies. It's not just Trump, his buddies, and the U.S. military. It is a collective. It goes way beyond them to an outside group when it comes to extraterrestrial groups, to a certain group. Do they have their own agendas too? I always say that. Even if they're fifth dimensional beings, sixth dimensional beings, yes, they have agendas also. And what I took from the information that I gathered through meditation was that the Q collective, it is about creating an opportunity for us to build a better world. And I've said this a million times. Don't look at Q as your savior. Q is not your savior. No one's here to save you except yourself, us, together as a collective, to create that timeline that we want to be on. Okay? If we're looking for a savior, those who fall into that whole savior trap, well, you're going to get trapped into that, where you will end up forming another government that's going to hold you that way. The timeline that I saw, that I want to create, that many others would like to create, is something completely different, where we don't have anything. And the way I've seen it and met people who I'm like, oh shoot, they're part of that timeline, to create that new timeline. The governments that we have right now are no more. They're completely different. It's a completely different structure. Different money structure, different governmental structure, more localized. It's very different from what I've seen. I'm not going to go into it. It's like really complex. It like took half of my books to write about it. And I just don't feel like talking about it yet. Because not too many people are going to get it. The people who are supposed to get it, I spoke to on a personal basis, honestly. So Q's not here to save the world. And I know I've seen things that's what turned me off to Q in the beginning when it first started coming out. I saw people saying, the Q's plan to save the world. Don't get trapped in that. No one's here to save your ass. If you're here sitting there waiting for somebody to save you, no. It's for us to open our eyes to what's going on. To say, oh my God, that's what's really going on. Let's create a better timeline for ourselves, a higher vibrating timeline for ourselves. The energies are right for us to do that. Not to call in another government, whatever, to take its place. It's for us to govern ourselves, okay? That's the timeline we're here to create. All right? So join me tonight. Sorry about the trucks. Join me tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be attempting to do that, where we put our energies together to form that higher timeline and collapse the lower timeline, that, to get rid of that, to make it less probable, all right, and make the higher timeline, the 5D timeline, more probable, okay? Again, it's up to you, Q's plan to save the world, I never brought into that. And that's when I asked, and I saw it was a collective, and this is before I knew anything about Q. This was a while back, and I saw it was a collective, and it was made clear to me that it's just an opportunity for us to get in there and build that higher timeline, to solidify the higher timeline, the fifth dimensional timeline, the positive 4D, higher 4D, fifth dimensional timeline, instead of a lower timeline. Okay? Not to think something or someone is here to save you. That Q collective creates the opportunity for us to do so. Do you understand? All right? Lady V out. Talk to you guys later. See you tonight. Bye. Victory.